joining us. It's another beautiful Tuesday afternoon, and of course we're talking about issues about religion and marriage. Today we're looking at influences on marriage. We're looking at to what extent should religion, commitment, practices, a lot of things affect the marital relationship that everybody's trying to get. In fact, today a lot of persons are trying to drift away from marriages, so to speak. Some people say they don't want to get married. Some people say, okay, a lot of things happen in marriage. Why should I get married? All I just need is to be happy. All right, I won't be doing this alone. I have guests in the studio that will join me to look at this and, of course, see how to provide solutions to all of these issues. I have by my side, I have Ariola Opeyemi Adebayo. She's a marriage counselor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much, Rotimi, for having me.
All right, you look great.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we also have Pastor Harrison Ifeanyi Chukwu. He's also a counselor and, of course, a man of God. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Rotimi.
All right, very quickly, we're looking at issues concerning marriages. First, we want to look at marriages in the past, marriages now. What has really changed? So I'll start from Ariola.
Okay, thank you again, Rotimi. Marriages in the past and marriages now. It's not only marriages that have changed. The times have changed generally, and information has changed generally. In every aspect of life, there's an update, so to say. And so we have upgraded version of everything, inclusive of marriages. So the differential in the times, it has been one critical influence and critical determinant of the successes or failures of marriages in recent times.
All right, let's look at what people are saying about marriages today. As somebody who leads the folk, so to speak, a shepherd and all of that, you must have seen a lot of real-life examples, situations, talking about, what people say about marriage. Of course, we've read, in the papers. Of course, we have different reports about what happened to some persons concerning marriage violence and all of that. What is your take on that? And why exactly do people drift away from marriages, so to speak? Some people just want to be alone, and they say marriage is not important and it's not compulsory. What is your take on that?
Thank you, Rotimi. Like my sister said, information, I would say, is reformation. It is also deformation. As information are coming and evolving, a lot of things change. What people used to have as their cultural stand, their religious belief, are gradually eroding away because of information. Okay. Like I said, information can reform or deform. So some of the things they saw on social media and some other sources of information like books and the rest of them has actually affected people's belief system about marriage. So what people are saying are actually true. There are some nasty experiences both in Christianity and some other religion because of information.
So is marriage compulsory or not? Is it necessary?
Marriage,
of course, people will say it's not compulsory. Is it necessary?
Is necessary for procreation
only,
but it is not compulsory. Not only procreation.
Okay.
The first thing God said was, it is not good that man should be alone. It was actually companionship. Marriage was a function of synergy. God was bringing man and woman to synergize to fulfill the fivefold mandate that he gave to them. So it wasn't procreation per se, but procreation is part of those fivefold mandates, because the first one is be fruitful.
Okay. All right, let's quickly look at culture, religion.
Okay.
Let me come back to Ariola. Let's look at culture, religion. Let's look at the grip both may have on marriages, so to speak. Religion, culture, which would you say has stronger grip on marriages today?
Okay, thank you again, Rotimi. The issue is, or the fact is, that religion has found its way into culture, and culture has become religion. As Africa.
Which came first, religion or culture?
It has always been the same.
The same.
It's the way that is being expressed that is different. So in the older days, we see more of traditional religion, more of traditional practices that became a culture. So for example, when people wake up in the morning, they do propitiation. You know, before they step out of their house, they break cola, they pour it on the ground, they ask what's today going to be like, they pour wine, or you know, hot drink, you know, they do all of those things. It's supposed to be religion, which is a traditional way of worship, but became cultural in the sense that it became an habit. Everything was formed out of it, and so it became a daily doing. So they would do those things before they leave out for their daily bread or before they step out of their house. So you see now the synergy that is now existing between culture and religion. And as that goes on and the upgrade, so we have introduction of different forms of religion. Of course, there is that evolution, Christianity, Islam, you know, different expression of worshipping, you know, and talking to a supreme being in whichever way it is being expressed. And so you see that transference into marriage, because your culture and your religion to a large extent will determine your way of life.
Okay, to what extent? Let's stop there and quickly move to what we are focusing. As much as we do not want to, we just want to use the word religion for all the religions. Of course, we have different types of religions. In fact, denominations as well, even if we have to talk about different religions and all of that. Now, let's quickly look at to what extent should religion have influence or have a place in marriages?
If to say religion is part of culture, it's actually a subset of culture.
Okay.
If we have to agree that culture is a way of life, religion is the way that man tried to find his God, whether Islam, traditional, or Christianity. Now, we cannot detach religion from our value system because it's part of our cultural lifestyle.
Okay.
So if it is part of our value system, you discover that, for instance, let me use Christianity as a case in point. You cannot marry in the church without first marrying traditionally. Just like she said, there is marriage between religion and culture. You can't, there is a thin line. They are actually one thing. I think culture is the universal set and religion is the subset of the universal set. It's just that sometimes there is a clash between two of them. These people say you are fetish and the other one say you are not
fetish. So to what extent should they influence marriages?
One way to insult yourself is to operate outside your jurisdiction. I think culture have their place, religion have their place.
Okay, let's look at religion, because that's the focus.
Okay.
Yes, to what extent?
Okay, I think that religion should hold a secondary place in marriage. And by secondary place, what do I mean? It is because marriage is an ideology itself. Marriage is a concept which is universal. However, there are so many elements to marriage aside religion. And I think value system should rank maybe tops aside religion. So I think that when a man and a woman are coming together to form a home, to be married, there are so many issues to be considered, you know, aside religion. Religion is extremely important because if there's no religious compatibility, it can give a lot of crack into that marriage. However, I think that issues or instances like value system, beliefs, worldviews, you know, how people see the world, their upbringing, all of those things are things that are more sustaining to a home than the issue of religion. We have seen people who are, you know, they belong to, they express religion in different ways and they have the best of marriage. But if their ideologies, if their value systems are not compatible, they would not be able to.
So what's the essence of religion if their value system are not compatible?
Religion, sadly, religion has nothing to do with your value system. You may be a Christian.
Okay, is religion not helping to build values?
Religion is a form of education too.
Great.
It can, you know, it can bring lessons. It has its own tenets.
Okay.
As we say it, religious views, tenets, you know, and expression different forms based on where you belong to. However, the first thing I think that people must know is that when you are in a marriage, there are so many things to be considered. However, in recent times, religion has more grip on marriages than other sustaining value systems.
Interesting. You eventually answered my question. Yes, we've been able to, come to an agreement in that regard. Culture, religion. Now, let's look at. You mentioned the other time you cannot operate outside, in isolation, outside religion and culture. So let's look at if religion determines marital success. Helping the marriage institution. Do you think the influence? Do you think religion can help build marriages? Let's put it like that.
I think so. Why I think so is like I said earlier on.
Yes.
One way to embarrass yourself is to operate outside your jurisdiction. Like when we're talking about culture and religion, you cannot marry somebody in a church or in a mosque without first going for the parental consent. Okay. Now, if you look at religion, why many people are having issues with religion is that most people that say I believe in a particular religion, they don't actually practice it.
Okay.
Every religion have their principles guiding what they do. For instance, if I can take an example from Christianity, before you marry, there are principles that you are taught in what is called marriage counseling. They are trying to inculcate what the Christians believe. The Muslim may have the way they do theirs. Do you understand me? So as they are doing that, if you follow those things, there's every possibility that your success rate may be higher.
Okay,
let's quickly look at a lot of persons that are religious. Okay,
I think I have a slightly different opinion. Religion being a critical success factor in marriage, I think is subjective. I think it is subjective. Now, marriage is a universal concept, but it has a limited way of execution, and that's why everybody cannot marry everybody. We can have 10 people here as couples, but their spouses will be different. You marry the person that fits you. So it's not, marriage is not a one-size-fits-all thing, one thing concept. So when it comes to the issue of religion, I think it is subjective. Some people may say that if I cannot marry someone outside my faith, and so for such people, I think religious compatibility is very essential to them. Another person may say that you can practice this faith and I practice this faith, but once we are able to agree on some other things, like maybe what are the core values, what do you believe in? Do you believe in hard work? Do you believe in diligence? Do you believe in honesty, truthfulness? And it is on the basis of those ideologies that they establish their marriage. And so religion, you see that religion now is secondary. They are being able to make religion secondary. That, okay, I'll leave you to worship the way you want to worship, and I don't have a problem with that. However, I cannot compromise on principles like truthfulness. You have to always be truthful. I cannot compromise on principles like provision. You have to always be providing for the home and all of that. So I think that religion being the only or a major success factor to marriage, I think is subjective because it is individual based.
All right. Thank you so much.
Can I say something?
Okay.
If we talk about even culture.
Okay.
What we have in Lagos State. Lagos State is what I call culture collapse.
Okay, I would like you to allow us to go on a break now.
Okay.
We're going to break, and you are going to hold that thought.
Okay.
And so that when we are back, we'll talk more about that.
All right.
I will go on this break. Remember, you can send text messages to the number showing on your screen. This is Your Viewpoint, and we've been talking about issues bordering on religion and marriage. We'll be back after this break, and when we're back, we'll get to talk more about the issues about surrounding religion and marriage, influences of religion on marriage. Please go nowhere.
Did you know that forgiveness is one of the keys to a healthy relationship? Forgiveness is a conscious decision and a practice of releasing feelings of resentment. Forgiveness has a long way to go in any type of relationship, be it family, friendship, or marriage. Each and every one of us has been hurt, and as such, no one is perfect. But that does not mean we should accept hurts from anyone repeatedly. Scientists who study forgiveness have long agreed that it is one of the most important contributors to a healthy relationship. Studies have shown that couples who practice forgiveness are more likely to enjoy longer, more satisfying relationships. Research has even found out that people who practice unconditional forgiveness are more likely to enjoy longer lives. Today, we are going to learn the best practices on how to forgive and how to ask for forgiveness. This would enable us learn how to let go of grudges, hurts, or harboring resentment. There are a lot of health benefits associated with forgiveness. If you hold on to hurts, disappointments, petty annoyances, betrayals, insensitivity, and anger, you are practically wasting both your time and energy. Nursing your hurt for too long can eventually make it turn into something more, such as hatred and extreme bitterness for someone, which can lead to depression. Lack of forgiveness can also wear you down. Being unforgiving takes both a physical and mental toll on your health. Resentment gains momentum and takes away your well-being and your relationship. Health experts at Johns Hopkins report that the act of forgiveness can reduce the risk of heart attack, lower cholesterol levels, improve sleep, reduce pain, lower your blood pressure, and decrease levels of anxiety, depression, and stress. Studies have also suggested that forgiveness provides substantial benefits. Certainly, it is more difficult to forgive a spouse for years of infidelity than it is for a minor mistake such as forgetting to pay a bill on time. As an individual, one must be patient and understand that forgiveness is a process. It cannot be rushed. There are various techniques you can use to find a place of forgiveness when you have experienced betrayal. Be open and receptive to forgiveness. Make a conscious effort to forgive your spouse or anyone that has hurt you. Think of a calming place or do something to distract yourself from dwelling on those thoughts when images of betrayal or hurt flash in your mind. Refrain from throwing an error or mistake back in your spouse's face at a later date. Don't use it as an ammunition in an argument. Accept that you may never know the reason for the transgression, behavior, or mistake. Refrain from seeking revenge or retribution. Trying to get even will only extend the pain, and chances are good that this won't really make you feel any better. Remember that forgiveness does not mean that you condone the hurtful behavior. Seek professional counseling to help you let go. How to ask for forgiveness? If you are the partner, friend, or family who has caused hurt, you can ask for forgiveness in an effort to rebuild trust in the relationship. Remember to give yourself and your partner time when walking through the process. Show true remorse for the pain that you have caused. Going forward, be willing to make a commitment not to hurt your partner again by repeating the hurtful behavior. Accept the consequences of the actions that created the hurt. Be open to making amends. Make a heartfelt and verbal apology and back it up with a plan of action to make things right. Be patient with your partner, friend, or family. Being able to forgive often takes time. Don't dismiss your spouse's feelings of betrayal by telling them to get over it.
Thank you. We're still talking about the influence of religious practices, doctrines, and all of that on marriages today, and I've been talking to Ariola Oyeyemi Adebayo, counseling and therapist, counseling lead at Sparkle Marriage Consult. Yes, thank you so much for being on the program, and of course Reverend Harrison Ifeanyi Chukwu, thank you so much for being on the show. Now we're still looking at the issues surrounding religion and marriage, and the other time you were talking about something about the extent at which religion can influence marriage.
She was actually saying that the religious influence is subjective.
Okay.
And I said that there's what we call cultural collapse in Lagos, where the Igbos, the Yorubas, the Hausas, everybody comes together, and we don't actually have one common culture in Lagos, as opposed to what is obtained in other places. It affected religion also.
Okay.
But the fact remains that Africa, especially Nigeria, we're religious people. Religious is having a whole lot of influence on marriage. Marriages are going through some even negative effects, positive and negative effects on marriage.
Now,
it's something we cannot deny.
All right, let's look at it from another perspective. Is it possible to say you have this extreme belief in a religious system such that it affects your marriage, and you do the wrong thing in your marriage such that it affects the marriage? Take for instance situations whereby some practices, some persons will say, okay, I've been directed spiritually, to marry this person and all of that. We have seen situations whereby the wife of a particular person was said to have been snatched by a religious leader. Circumstances like that, of course, could bring about issues in the marriage. What's your take on that?
Oh, well, the thing is, more and more as the times advance, we would always see this divide. Initially we established that there is a sync between culture and religion, and because people have now, people are misunderstanding that sync, and it now looks like there is a switch. So culture has taken the place of religion, and religion has taken the place of culture. Do you understand? And so when people do all of those things, they suspend every other thing that should be considered. Now, when it comes to the issue of marriage, religious compatibility isn't the only thing that you test for or that you focus on. But because of fanaticism and establishment of different doctrines, you see people isolate other critical factors that should be checked before getting into a marriage. And once a prophet or so person says, this is the man for you, or this is the woman for you, they jump into it. And when they jump into it, after a while, the scales fall up. But we are still on earth, we're not in heaven, we're not in paradise yet. And so, when lifestyle issues now come up, you now see where the divide is. So somebody is saying, he prays too much, instead of him to go to work and bring food to the home, he spends the time praying. It's religion, and that's the effect. But you didn't have a problem when they said, go ahead, and do all of those things. So we see that more and more, the religious divide is obvious. And what people are yearning for right now, earlier on you said more and more people say they don't want to get married, and because of it, no. What people are yearning for, or what people are looking for right now, is peace. And more, you go
that's
on
why
the
some of them
internet, you
don't want to
hear
get married.
stories that touch, and people just feel, no, it looks like there is a problem in the area of marriage, and I want peace for myself. So if I need to be at peace, if staying unmarried is going to keep me at peace, then I'd rather stay different. But the cause of religion is tough, and I'm not a faith-based practitioner. I'm just a general practitioner, so I cannot support religion, because if you come to my office and you want to enroll, for example, for a premarital counseling or assessment, I would not only run a religious test on you, I will run different kind of compatibility tests, and then we can say, okay, religious wise you're compatible, financially you have the same pattern.
I'm sure he's going to disagree with you.
Yeah, it's the pattern in his office, and I understand.
Yes. But to a large extent, can you really do without religion, even as a practitioner?
What is religion? Religion is the way with which you express your divine self. You speak to your supreme being, whether it's pencil, whether it's Bible, whether it's leaf, whether it's
which
God.
is religion?
Religion is personal. Even if we're going to go by the Bible, if the pastor, the Bible says, work out your salvation with fear and with trembling. Is a personal thing. And the thing is, when it's personal, our revelation differs.
Okay, I would like you to stop there.
Okay.
I'd like you to take it from the area of spiritual direction.
Okay.
Which you mentioned.
Yes, I'm laughing because he said a man of God comes out there that God said, and you take over
another
somebody's wife
so
or somebody's daughter,
or
and you were married before.
Yes, or probably the husband messed up and it was supposed to be flogged. You know, give him like 51 strokes for you know, for doing something.
But we're not in the
so if we look at this, when we say religion, every religion has doctrines.
Okay.
Every religion.
I would like you to start with spiritual direction.
Yes, I'm going there.
Because most of the time, people seem to make mistakes. Yes.
Now, if you look at doctrines and teachings of religions, because you said people still go through counseling and their marriages fail. Yes. Did they follow the counseling? You see somebody wake up. The problem we have in the society today is most people, they are too lazy to research what they are taught. You don't just wake up one minute and tell me that God said. Which of the gods are we talking about? God is not the author of confusion. God cannot wake up and tell somebody go and take another person's wife. That's not the God I know. So if we talk about principles and teachings and doctrines, there are things that the Bible, that is from the Christian angle now, even the Islamic religion, there are things they believe. Do you really believe those things? Or you come out and arrogate some unnecessary powers, in quote, to yourself because you are called a pastor, a reverend father, or an imam? No. There are principles. The books of this religion give these principles, and they follow them to a large extent. It gives you peace. If you follow them. The problem is deception. But I'm preaching on the altar does not make me a Christian. I can be preaching on the altar and be a devil. It's 100% possible. So, spiritual direction, people are lazy. They don't even want to seek. You said it's personal. They don't even want to have that personal contact. Somebody comes and tells, Rotimi is your husband. You don't pray, you don't fast, you don't look at the parameters. Even religion don't teach only religious compatibility. I am a marriage counselor. I look at other variables. There are lots of variables that religion also teach. Do you look at them, or you just come, the Holy Spirit said? Which of the spirits? Anything the Holy Spirit is saying must be in consonance with the Bible. That's my take. So what you call spiritual direction sometimes can be affected by personal desires and lusts. I want that girl, and the only way for me to get her is to use one religious mumbo jumbo and get her the Bible. The Lord said, a man of God said. You go and confirm it. I don't have anything against prophecy.
Okay, so what do you think is responsible for people's gullibility in that regard?
Spiritual laziness.
All right, so what happens to situations whereby, you know, people are supposed to be led? You know, let's say they are not strong spiritually, they don't have the capacity, the capabilities to, you know, say, search for themselves spiritually, so to speak. What happens to if they, you know, look for somebody to help, somebody who's supposed to be a leader, so to speak, especially in the religious perspective now? What's your take? Because you said spiritual laziness.
I still go back to spiritual laziness. Let me explain. Now, my Bible from my religion says, study to show yourself approved.
Okay.
A workman that needs not be ashamed. Shame is a result of misinformation. Shame comes as a result of ignorance. There is this thing in the Christian Bible that says, grow. Growth is in every aspect of the society. Why won't the religious people grow? Yes, I gave my life to Jesus, or I'm attending a mosque. It is expected that after some time, I should be standing on my feet. But a lot of people want, Mama in the Lord, I want you to do this for me. Daddy in the Lord. What is your role? So it still boils down to religious laziness. People are not ready you quoted a place, they say, work out your salvation, your personal pronoun.
Okay. All right. Let's quickly look at, because we'll go on another break. But before then, remember you can drop your comment on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. The handle is at your viewpoint. Now, let's quickly look at religious, I've mentioned this before, religious teachings, all of those things, the counseling, we have a lot of that. But marriages are failing, are crashing. Why?
Okay. For every information that is before you, there is an empowering element and a disempowering element.
Okay.
There are two elements in it. There's an empowering one, there's a disempowering one. And I think how people interpret information is very important. It's not about getting wisdom, it's not about getting knowledge. It says get understanding with it. So it means that understanding is the key that unlocks your wisdom and your knowledge. So without understanding, you do not know how to deploy your wisdom and your knowledge. And I think that people with the church, for example, the religious organizations, they need to overhaul this curriculum. They say we're doing premarital, postmarital counseling. What is the curriculum? What are you teaching people? So for example, you want to teach submission. Submission is not subversion. Submission is not stupidity. But because we're expressing it, or it is being expressed in a doctrinal form, such that you now attach sin to it. So for example, if we look at the case of domestic violence, so many people are there being battered daily. They need to get help. Some even go to their pastors and they say you should endure. Some even say the Bible is against divorce. And all of that. So it's not about how these things, the richness or the lack of richness of the curriculum, how is it being expressed, plus who prepared this curriculum. Are they competent? Is the curriculum an expression of their doctrine and personal revelation?
What is spiritually directed?
Or as a form of spiritual direction, from who to who? We need to ask ourselves that. And because of the rise in knowledge, and because more and more people know what they want. Gone are those days where people look at, when you ask people, so what are the things you look out for in a man, and they tell you tall, dark, and handsome. Gone are those days. Gone are those days. People tell you, what do I want to do with now? So somebody will tell you, what do I want to do with your beauty or your handsome, when you cannot put food on the table, when you cannot mentor me, when you cannot lead me. So it now looks like people are going rogue. And it looks like religious places are saying, do this, and people are saying, you are on your own. You are on your own. This is what I want for myself. Because people are learning to own their bliss, own their happiness. And I said it earlier on, that marriage is a universal concept, but it's a customized thing. It's not I would marry who I think I'm compatible with. You would choose a partner based on certain criteria that you feel works for you. He would also choose a partner based on certain criteria that he thinks works for him. So it looks like now the churches are teaching people, and then it looks like like your people they say, "Oh my like borrow." So it looks like people are prodigal to what they are being taught. But the prodigal thing is not because people just want to go rogue or people just want to become sinners, but there is no alignment between the current realities and the doctrine that we are pushing forward and saying that this is the doctrine. Revelation is continuous. Revelation is continuous, and the personality of whoever is carrying the revelation would also reflect in the revelation that is being brought forward. The way someone who has no education or formal education will read a scripture and interpret it will be different from the revelation someone, maybe a doctor, maybe a professor, the way he would interpret it. And these are the people that sit in places of authority to create this curriculum, even preach these messages. And so at the end of the day, we see more and more people just take the one that applies to them and discard the rest.
All right, we will go on a break now, but before we do that, I would like you to react to that in a few seconds.
Okay, I think I will disagree with that with some places, because when you say who writes the curriculum,
yes,
it's an assumption you don't know. You are not there, you've not seen the curriculum, like the one I have
Okay.
can stand in any psychological circle. So it depends on what you saw. Like if you allow me to quote from the Bible, a place said, do not be partakers with them. That's verse 7, Ephesians chapter 5, verse 7. Verse 10 said, proving what is acceptable. Okay, you don't want me to do this? What is acceptable? So she said that religion is evolving. Let me use that word, evolution now. It's evolving. Yes, it's evolving. What we used to have as religion those days, Christianity, Islam, somebody like the Islamic guy, is it Karl Marx or something? You hear them talk, you know that they have a different view of what Islam is talking about. You still hear some Christian scholars talk, you know that they have a different view, that a few selected group of people are doing it their own way does not sideline religion.
All right, we will come back to that. We'll go on this break. We want to see what we have in the world of sport, and right after that we will take opinions on the street. We're also looking at other issues surrounding why people don't want to get into marriage or why people are leaving their marriages. We will be back after that Vox Pop. Please go nowhere.
Golf is a popular game amongst many. Have you ever wondered where it originated from? We will be taking you back in time on how this game has become one of the most played today. Golf can be relaxing, golf is competitive, and golf will provide you with enjoyable challenges. This is a game you can play for the rest of your life. Apparently, golf originated from a game played on the eastern coast of Scotland in an area close to the royal capital of Edinburgh. In those early days, players would attempt to hit a pebble over sand dunes and around tracks using a bent stick or club. In the 1750s, golf clubs were carved from wood and was debuted in Scotland. King James IV was much more on board with golf as he hired a bowmaker to make him his own set of clubs. Golf was played with sticks, pebbles and rabbit holes. St. Andrews became known as the birthplace of modern golf in 1754. A famous clubhouse called the Royal and Asian Golf Club came up with the rules and promoted golf as a proper sport. Notable in 1770s, golf first came to the United States. The Royal Gazette in New York advertised clubs and balls to select few Americans who were interested in playing the game at the time. Did you know, in 1848, Dr. Robert Adam Peterson was the first to improve the game with the invention of gutta-percha golf balls. These were made from rubber. They were less expensive to make and were also known as gutters. The year 1900 made golf internationally accepted, as this marked the first time golf was part of the Olympics. 4 years later, golf was in the Olympics again in St. Louis. Interestingly, the oldest golf in Nigeria is said to be the Rayfield Golf Course, which was established in 1913, located in Jos. The golf is said to be older than Nigeria itself. Most of Nigeria's biggest golfers have arrived Jos Plateau State to be part of history, although the Rayfield Golf Course has been redesigned with facilities upgraded to meet the modern day standard. The Nigerian Golf Federation (NGF) said Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State is to become the first brand identity of golf in Nigeria. This was disclosed by the NGF president, Otumba Shegun, at the closing ceremony of the Pro-Am Golf Tournament 2022, organized by Rayfield Golf Club 1913 in Jos, Plateau State. Nigeria has seen a rapid growth in the development of golf in Nigeria. As a result, so many other golf courses have emerged in almost all the 36 states of the country. In 2019, technology has made it so easy that golf can even be played indoors. This is done through virtual simulators and screens where it looks as though you are on course. In recent years, a rigorous test was conducted for 93 applicants at the Kaduna Golf Club, which lasted for 5 days. The Professional Golfers Association of Nigeria ended up absorbing 22 former amateur players into the elite class. Isang Ayuba, amongst many, is a multiple medal winner in golf at the National Sports Festival of Plateau State. He is a prodigy of Samson Lawal, Lamingo Golf Club's resident professional. PGAN committee not only focused on the ability of players to play golf, but evaluated the participants' knowledge of rules and ethics of golf, speech making, golf equipment mending, and for the first time in the qualifying school history, the players had written tests. Amazingly, Andrew Odo, a 36-year-old Nigerian, is the only Nigerian citizen on the official World Golf ranking and has been praised as the country's version of Tiger Woods. A 15-year-old Nigerian golf sensation, Georgia Obo, has inscribed her name in the history books as the youngest first African female golfer ever to be invited to compete either as an amateur or professional in the Ladies Professional Golfers Association of America (LPGA) tournament.
My name is Engineer Elvis Omoboje. Yeah, well, in Nigeria today, we have different types of religions. We have Christian body, we have a Muslim body, and other traditional bodies. Most of the churches have a place where they do marriage seminars. Whether you are in the church or not, when there's a marriage seminars, they invite different types of bodies. When they come to them, they learn, they teach them, they educate them about marriage. So in this case, we need like the Christian, the Muslim, to have a marriage seminar where we bring both couples or the young ones that are coming up, we educate them. But like these days now, because of the modern life, you hardly find the girls or the ladies coming to marriage seminar except who make up his mind.
I don't think marriage, some people cannot just jump to marriage just like that, because marriage needs to be, you have to think about it before if you want to marry. If you don't want to marry, stay on your own. But if you want to marry, you have to tie your belts, because you are going to face so many things, like trials, so many things like that. Because some people that are divorcing in marriage is because they don't have patience and they don't have the knowledge of marriage. Change that. Maybe their husband go and marry another person. That one will now frustrate them to leave the marriage for cheating. That maybe their husband is cheating them. But we need to be very, very, very careful before we leave. Because when you leave, you have to go forever. Some husband will not take you back. Some man will take you back. Some man will not even take you back since you have already packed your load and go. So we need to be very patient concerning that.
The role of religion body quite have a long way to go. It is well established both in the Quran and the Bible. That is, the most annoying thing in the sight of God is divorce. None of the religion, neither the Christian or Muslim, encourage this. So they do come back to the issue. They do come back to the roots. That is substantial roots which match the man and the woman together in the first place for them to come as a one. So the religion body has a long journey to go, as far as I'm concerned. As a clergyman, we need to. What I mean is that let me come back to with the masses as well, with the boys or girls, man or woman. We need to move closer to God. It is then the religion body will now come and make everything to be balanced. So to put what is in balance to the balance.
My name is Engineer Elvis Omoboje.
All right, thank you so much for being there. We're still talking about religion and marriage, and of course people on the streets of Lagos give their opinions concerning what they think about roles of religious bodies in building marriages. Now, we're looking at some other areas. Of course, my guests will react to that. Let's take your reactions first. Well, what's your reaction to just one or two things they said? Somebody mentioned patience, of course, which is part of what you're told in religious circles. I say, oh, you have to be patient, you have to endure, you have to persevere. You know, a lot of words, put together. And when you don't do that, it looks like you're engaged your religion.
Patience is not a religious thing. Patience, perseverance, these are virtues.
Okay.
You don't need someone to embed it in you. If you're patient, you're patient. If you're not patient, you're not patient. However, before you take any step, you should do your due diligence, including entering into a marriage or exiting a marriage. You must ask yourself, critical questions. Why am I doing that? Is it justifiable? Okay, if I'm doing this, are there likely consequences to it? For or against? What are the benefits of doing this? What are the demerits of doing this? However, you know, a lot of times we project abuse, domestic abuse. Domestic violence isn't the only form of abuse. There are worse forms of abuse. There's verbal abuse, there's mental abuse. And it is assumed that once you are in a relationship, not only marriage, once it becomes toxic, such that you're not able to function optimally, once it becomes toxic, it can be even the friendship, then there's need for separation. Separation isn't divorce. The first thing is a setting aside while you re-examine things. Get help. At that point, maybe you're getting counseling, you're getting therapy, you're seeking help. If at the end of all of that processes, it now still looks like it is irreconcilable, then you can decide to say, I'm going or I'm staying. However, like that lady that said, patience, you must know what you're doing, because if you go, you may not have a second chance.
You've gone forever.
I understand when the issue of second chance. However, your second chance may not be with the same person. Second chances are basically you learning the lessons that you need to learn from the past experience.
You know, I would have taken you on that issue whereby when you leave a particular relationship and you have to move to another one, it's a big problem. You know, people tend to say a lot of things, and people also want to consider that and want to stay in a toxic relation. But we will talk about that. It might not be today, maybe some other time. But then, Reverend Harris, I'd like you to look at religion. Do you think religion is keeping people in toxic relationships, marriages especially?
I must be realistic here, and yes and no.
Okay.
Why I say yes is that because of what religious people say, because of what religious people do, people remain in toxic relationship.
Okay.
I'm sorry to say that it is a bad side of religion, the negative side of religion. The truth is, there is no reasonable pastor that will see bruises over and over on a woman's body and keep telling you, like she said, the first option is save the life first.
Okay.
If there will be reconciliation, let her be alive. Even the second chance we're talking about. Is it not somebody
you're alive you can
that you talk about second chance?
Okay.
Let me put a case in point that's all over the social media. This singer that died.
Okay.
It was, I'm sorry to say, religion killed her. I'm a pastor.
Do you agree with that?
Why I say religion killed her is, yes, she has her personal responsibilities. People spoke to her. Why not talk to the pastor? I know that she has majority of the blame, but the truth is, I don't know the kind of religion she had. When we talk about religion, my sister here said that religion is personal. I want to add to it that it is relative. What I call religion is not what you call religion.
Yes, because it's personal.
So, because it's personal,
so in that regard, we're looking at the perception.
Yes, I am looking at it the way I understand. She said something about understanding.
Is there a way to correct that?
Yes, there's a way to correct that. I said that information evolves. There is evolution of information. Just like she rightly said, there are new generation churches. Even mosques have some new set of religious people in Islam. They are no longer following Islam the way it used to be. Why? Because there are what? Evolution of information. People are beginning to understand the Bible in a bigger light. Even the Bible itself say at the last days knowledge will increase. So the way to go around it is teaching. She made mention of overhauling curriculum. I agree 100%. Obsolete curriculum should be looked into. There are doctrines that should be looked into.
And what about who administers the curriculum? Is another issue.
The truth is that there is evolution too.
Okay.
Those days they used to ask you, did God call you? You say yes, they send you into a church and you go there, whatever you do there. But now there are some criteria. You are trained to some level. Where I work, you must have a certain level of secular qualification before you can become a pastor. The truth being that ignorance is not an excuse. Somebody that don't know can do anything. So that's just the truth. So
all right, let's look at what point do we limit religion from having negative influences on our marriages? At what point? Because you cannot do without religion, no matter what it is.
Yes, that's true.
As a counselor, you're still a Christian, I believe. So to an extent, of course, you still have something to do with that. And of course, people in marriages still have something to do with faith. So at what point do you say, okay, no, this is wrong. This is not what I should accept? At what point? How do you even determine that, okay, this is the point where religion is going overboard?
Okay, I think that the first point of call is I think that religious organizations must begin to create awareness into the fact that religion is personal, even though we would not neglect each other's fellowship.
Okay.
And people must be able to define their personal boundaries. People must be able to express their values and their views. And that is why, religious places must begin to build credible, strengthened counseling centers and have not people who just come, like you said, not people who just come to say, because God has called me. It is not, God has called me is no longer enough to sustain religious organization. So God has called you, get formal education, be a certified, a certified family life person or counselor, practitioner, therapist, such that when people bring lifestyle day-to-day issues to you, you are able to use your religious knowledge, merge it together with
your professional
knowledge, which gives you a robust form of confidence to approach it, and then you're able to tell them that, okay, I think that no, this is religious fanaticism. I think, okay, you are misinterpreting what the Bible or the Quran is saying here, and then you're able to, help them make adjustments. I think what is critical is churches or organizations must begin to preach balance. There must be a balance between your religious view and other aspects of you, because you are not solely a divine or ecclesia being.
Okay, all right, we have to go now. I want to believe you agree with that, balance is key. In just 1, 2, 3 seconds, do you have anything to add?
What I have to add is religion has a very vital role to play. Like, I agree with her that curriculum should be looked into. Number 2, counselors should be trained. Number 3, toxicity should be given zero tolerance.
Okay, we'll stop there, and we get to talk about this some other time. I believe if we invite you, you would oblige to be here again, so that we can talk about. There are other areas we need to look into. Thank you so much for being a part of this show. We'll be here again next week, Tuesday, by God's grace. Be sure to join us. Drop your comment on our social media platforms at Your Viewpoint. I am Rotimi Akintunde. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.